Recording. All right, folks, welcome to another reading of Lord Meher, that wonderful fountain of information on Baba. And we are now still in the year 1947. We'll be starting the reading on page 2586 of the online version. And I'm going to go ahead and start the reading today. The next day, they drove 425 miles to various towns and out-of-the-way places. Baba worked for 19 hours at a stretch, and he did not rest until they reached a small dak bungalow 12 miles from Zairabad at 1 a.m. Even then, Baba could not sleep, as Adi described in his diary, quote, "We are all very tired. Baba's fast has an effect on his stamina. Baba sleeps in a room, and we are all on the veranda. He keeps on waking Erich and me often. He is very restless and complains of having heart pain or cramp and half of the left side becoming paralyzed." The next stop was Hyderabad, where 7 Musks were contacted on the 13th. Adi found this visit significant. From his diary again. This particular visit to Hyderabad, undertaken to contact Musks at a most momentous time in the history of Hyderabad state, seems to have a bearing upon the future political life of that state. Hyderabad today is the smoldering fire of the whole India and Pakistan political problem, and no one knows what its future life will be in its present choice of remaining an independent state. This is probably the most opportune time seen by Baba to visit the place and through the spiritual must contact by physical means set on a fixed future for the working out of its future destiny. Baba did not sleep at all on the 14th and was feeling drowsy on their way from Barsi to Pune. They pulled over and stopped at a dak bungalow at Temborni, where Baba lay down to rest. But after some time, Baidul made a noise when he rested his feet on a teapoy, and Baba became greatly annoyed. On Friday, 15 August 1947, India was formally partitioned into 2 parts. Lord Mountbatten became Governor General of India, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Governor of Pakistan. Baba's recent message was particularly important since, for the next 6 weeks, violent riots and mass slaughter between Hindus and Muslims took place, culminating in the loss of hundreds of thousands of lives and causing one of the largest migrations in history, as 800,000 people fled from Pakistan and poured into India. Baba reached Pune on the 15th. At Binger House, Papa was a bit disgruntled that the British were leaving India because he did not have confidence in the administrative abilities of his fellow Indians. Baba told him that it was a day to celebrate and made him hoist the new Indian tricolor flag from the house. Baba had Bairam do the same at Baba House. Baba slept again at Baba House that night with Erich near him, but he could not sleep and walked to Binger House at 2 a.m. Nariman, Meherji, Sarosh, Pendu, Sadashiv Patil, and Vital Borkri met him there that morning. Baba returned to Satara at noon on 16th August with Erich and Jalbai and began discussing plans to move back to Meherabad. Many in Satara were eager for the Master's darshan, which he allowed on Sunday, August 24th, 1947. From there until 7 in the evening at Jal Villa, nearly 500 people came for Baba's darshan, as bhajans were sung. Adi Sr., Meherji, and Nariman came from Bombay. Gadakar and other close Pune lovers were also present. Baba and the women left Satara for Meherabad in 3 cars on the 27th. In Elizabeth DeSoto were Baba, Kaka, Elizabeth, Norina, Mera, Mani, and Meru. In Adi's car were Kitty, Nadja, Rano, and a servant. In Sarosha's Chevrolet, driven by Don, were Katie, Khorshid, and the rest of the women. The men followed with the luggage in 4 trucks sent by Sarosh. When all arrived, the atmosphere at Meherabad returned to its former joyful glory. After months of separation from the master, the women stayed together on the hill, and Norina's heart, which had been weeping until then, brightened into a smile. Baba remained in the small cottage in Lower Meherabad that had been built for Kaikobad, and in which Baba had previously stayed in seclusion prior to leaving for Dehradun a year and a half before. On 28th August at 7:30 a.m., Adi Sr. drove Baba, Meru, Mani, Kakabaria, and Patri to Pimplegown to inspect the work being done there. Sarosh and Mahibub, the mason, were waiting for them. Baba noted the construction work done on the kitchens and small cottage and asked Sarosh to have the garden improved. On the evening of the 29th, Baba suddenly suffered an attack of bronchial pneumonia and became very ill with high fever. Don and Nilu treated him for several days. Again, Baba's illness was perhaps related to the horrors being perpetrated in the country at this time of violent prejudice. At Meherabad, Baba would go up the hill twice a day to see the women, but he had breakfast from the Mandali's kitchen. Adi Sr. drove to Meherabad twice a day to take Baba up and down the hill and brought meals for Baba, prepared by Erich's sister, Meru Damania, who was living with her husband at Kushru quarters. Baba often visited Kushru quarters and Amir's house in Ahmednagar. For September, he went to Akbar Press for dinner, where he gave darshan to Yashwant Rao and to Minu Barucha and his wife. According to Baba's already announced plan, the women had been divided into groups. Baba went again to Pimplegown on 5 September to inspect the construction work that was still going on there. Ramju met Baba on the 6th, and he met visitors to Meherabad on the 7th, including Nargis Dadachanji, Naraman, Sarosh, and Waman Subnis. As age relates, with the flowering of Meherabad garden in spring, there was also the autumn defoliation when the beloved would leave. The blossoms would smile at his arrival and then weep at his departure, as alternating joy and pain shadowed their lives. But those hearts that had drunk wine remained joyful. The life of wine is always like this, where tears of pain provide the light, and without them, no one feels happy. After arranging matters in Meherabad, Baba moved to Pimplegown on 10 September 1947, sleeping at night at Ratan Shah Gayara's cottage nearby. Mera, Mani, Meru, Goher, Walu, Narina, and Elizabeth went with him, as did Don, Kaka, Krishna, and an 18-year-old Gurkha servant boy named Chandraban Meherabad. Kaka did the marketing in the bazaar for the Pimplegown ashram. Don was writing the wayfarers, and Mani was typing the manuscript. A young servant woman named Lakshi was the main cook, but Kaka continued to prepare special, non-spicy food for Elizabeth and Narina. Besides Foundy, 3 other dogs lived at Pimplegown. Daney, a black Great Dane pup Baba gave Elizabeth, and Banjo, a small Dachshund given by Sarosh. Mani's Scottish Terrier, Cracker, was at Meherazad, but was sent to Meherabad some months later. And we have a footnote. And go ahead and read it. I can't see it.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Lord Meher, page number 258, 2005. Cracker was killed by wild dogs on 14 or 15 May 1949 and was buried on Meherabad Hill. Danny was given away at the time of the new life to someone in Bombay. And when we scroll down, there's a picture of Baba with the dogs,
Probably.
loving,
Oh,
hugging
probably.
them, petting them, with Danny and Cracker. This is right, yeah, in Medazar. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Continue.
Adi Sr. made multiple trips back and forth to Baba's new residence, bringing building materials, the daily Times of India, and supplies. On 13th September, Adi drove Baba and some of the women to Sarosh Cinema in his car, and Elizabeth drove the other women in her DeSoto. That afternoon, Ramju, Adi Jr., Rusipap, and Pendu saw Baba at Pimple Gown. Erich and Jalbai came on the 15th for a day, and Baba and Bailey met Baba the following day. There were nearly 100 people staying at Meherabad at this time, including the few women and men at Pimple Gown. And a footnote.
Uh, Among the men and boys were Adi Kotwal, Ali Shah, Adi Kotwal 10, Alicia 64, Anna 104, 58, Anna Saheb Kale 73, Baba Das, a frequent visitor, Baidul 57, Behram Baku Irani 22, sailor, Mama's son, Chagan 40, and his family, Dawn 35, Kaikobad 56, Fairam, working boxwala 47, Ghani 56, a frequent visitor, Gustaji 57, Vishnu 43, Jamadar 54, Jangle 32, and his family, Erich 31, also often in Pune, Kaka Baira 56, Kali Mama 71, Khak Sahib 60, Krishna Nair 22, Kupuswamy left Meherabad before December 1947, Sidhu 45, Muhammad Mas 32, Murli Kale 28, Neelu 43, Padri 43, Pendu 43, Rashid 17, Seda Mama 56, Sabak Kotwal 43, Suri Kotwal 33, Sabak's brother, Homi, Kahar Man, Masi's eldest son for a short time, Sarosh Khaman, Masi's second son for a short time, Merwan, Kharman Masi's youngest son for a short time. Women and girls, Mehra 39, Mani 28, Mehru 20, Goher 32, Gulu Dastur 23, Hira Kotwal 16, Indu Bhokre 23 for a short time, Jalu Dastur 20, Jair Bai Dastur 48, Kakubai 60, Naja 39, Naju Kotwal 19, Nargis Kotwal 38, Norina 67, Sultan 47, Pelamai 52, Rano 45, Katie 26, Harman Masi 53, Khorshid 37, Kitty 55, Dola 23, Mansari 38, Vanubai Ladakwala 58, Elizabeth 51, Meru Dastur 25, Sarwar 17, Sida Muzzat 26, Sunamasi 62, Walu 48. And that was the footnote.
That was a long footnote.
Yes.
All
So
right,
you want,
Rosalie, why don't you go ahead and pick up the reading here?
yeah.
During this period, Manatmika obtained Baba's permission to arrange a few days of darshan at Surat, Gujarat. Accordingly, on Wednesday, 17th September 1947, Baba drove to Bombay with Sarosh, Kakabaria, Norina, and Elizabeth. There they were met by the other Mandali who were to accompany them. Adi Senior, Baidu, Erich, Kaikabad, Gustaji, Pendu, Padri, Ramju, Rusipap, Jalbai, Papa, Meherji, Nariman, and Sadashiv Patil all boarded the train at 8:30 that evening and left for Surat. Ali Akbar, Alaba, was among those who had come to the station. When he saw Baba, he suddenly collapsed on the station platform and began loudly shouting Baba's name. Out of the joy of Meher Baba's presence, Baba was not pleasant. He was not pleased. He leaned out of the train compartment window and gestured to Ali Akbar that he would slap him if he didn't be quiet and calm down. Ali Akbar stopped shouting, but he could not hold back his tears, and some of the other Baba lovers helped him up. The Kotwal family was living at Meherabad in the family quarters at the time. Savak Kotwal's son, Adi, had contracted typhoid and appeared to be gravely ill. As Baba was about to leave Meherabad for Surat, he calmly heard the news and instructed Neelu and John to stay behind and look after the child. Both concluded that there was little hope of his survival, and the boy's mother, Nurgis, began making preparations for his funeral. Wow. I need words. But the Lord of Compassion was about to turn his key. On the way to Surat, at every station, he directed Baidu to get down and inquire whether any telegram had been received about Adi's death. None was ever sent, and the child slowly recovered. Baba's insistent inquiries had saved his life. A few Bombay lovers also journeyed to Surat for the darshan program, as did some Bombay Parsis who were adamantly against Baba due to Colonel Irani's influence. By creating opposition, however, they were unknowingly helping to establish faith in the hearts of others. For, in fact, some of those who had come to oppose Baba left with their hearts at his feet. There was also a hostile element in Surat itself, and some of those people joined forces with those from Bombay in opposing Baba. Baba arrived in Surat at 5 o'clock on the morning of 18th September. From the station, he was paraded in a beautifully decorated convertible automobile to the home of Sohrab Vakil at Bibini Wadi, where he was welcomed by an enthusiastic crowd. The opposition forces that had collected to shout slogans against him were outnumbered by his devotees. Amidst the crowd, here and there, a few people whispered against Baba, but not one had the nerve to come out openly with their criticism. When Baba arrived at his home, Sohrab Vakidi was ecstatic. He could not control his emotions, and tears of joy streamed down his cheeks. The picture of Baba arriving.
Yeah, Baba arriving in Surat, September 1947, and the whole car is filled with flowers and people inside and outside greeting him.
Large crowd of Zoroastrians had gathered at the Parsi Dharamshala, and Baba went there to deliver this message to them, drafted in advance by Ramju. As a born Zoroastrian, I can well imagine your your relation to find me among so many of you here who, someone's not muted. Can everyone mute? As a born Zoroastrian, I can well imagine your elation to find me among so many of you here who, like myself, also happen to be Zoroastrian by birth. But what makes me feel so very happy today is the love and the devotion of those of you who have succeeded in drawing me all this way to Surat. In the immediate atmosphere of my country, my community, my this and my that, I may not mind if some of you feel proud or consider the community fortunate because I happen to be born among you. But having realized once and for all the truth, which is the goal of all life and the end of each and every religion, I have thereby transcended all religions, and to me, therefore, every religion is equally an approach for those who have yet to arrive at the same infinite and indivisible ocean of love and knowledge, peace and bliss that now and again, here and there, continues rippling with selfless service and unsolicited sacrifice through the unflinching faith and sublime devotion of its lovers. There can be no greater folly than for the wayfarers to quarrel over the pros and cons of this way or that, instead of remaining concentrated upon and concerned with one's own onward journey along the path that one happens to be on. One road may be steep, another full of potholes, the third torn with forging rivers. Similarly, one may walk best, another may be a good runner, the third a fine swimmer. Yet, in each case, the things that should really count are the destination and the actual progress that each individual makes. Why should one who could run like a hare come in the way of another who is more likely to succeed only with the speed of a snail? Selfishness is the root cause of all troubles. It is all the more dangerous because under the subtle influence of selfishness, the worst evils are apt to assume false colors of chivalry, sacrifice, nobility, service, and even love. In spite of sometimes turning into a beast with cruelty, anger, and the lust of aggrandizement and subjugation, man can and often does cheat himself into believing that he yet remains a man, a patriot, and so on. Of all the forces that can best overcome all difficulties is the love that knows how to give without necessarily bargaining for a return. Next page, please. There is nothing that love cannot achieve, and there is nothing that love cannot sacrifice. There is nothing which is beyond me, and there is nothing without me. Yet I am and can always be captured with love. Pure love is matchless in majesty, and it has no parallel in power, and there is no darkness it cannot dispel. It is the undying flame that has set all life aglow. All the same, it needs to be kindled and rekindled in the abysmal darkness of selfish thoughts, selfish words, and selfish deeds, in order to burst out in a mighty spirit to serve as a beacon for those who may yet be groping in the darkness of selfishness, be it deep blue or all black. The light of love is not free from its fire of sacrifices. In fact, like heat and light, love and sacrifice, so to say, go hand in hand. The true spirit of sacrifice that springs spontaneously does not and cannot reserve itself for particular objects and special occasions. Just as it can never be too late or too early to learn to love for the sake of love, there can be nothing too small or too big to be sacrificed or sacrificed for. The flow of life, the flow of light, the flow of love is as much in the drop as in the ocean. The smallest thing is as big as the biggest, and the biggest thing is as small as the smallest. It all depends on the particular yardstick with which one measures a thing. The spirit of true love and real sacrifice is beyond all ledgers and needs no measure. A constant wish to love and be loving, and a non-calculating will to sacrifice in every walk of life, high and low, big and small, between home and office, street and cities, countries and continents, are the best anti-selfish measures that man can take in order to be really, really self-full and joyful. May you one day behold the ever-shining light of love that never dies and knows no darkness. My blessing to you, one and all. One of those who was meeting Baba for the first time was Kawas Manek Vasuna, 31. Kawas had heard of Baba in 1945 from Dr. Alu Kambata, who was then living in Navsari. Kawas was in charge of a post office in Sachin, and no sooner had he been given the master's discourses than the railway line between Navsari and Sachin was breached, and all traffic remained super suspended. Sorry. All traffic remained suspended for 9 days. As all mail was halted, he had nothing else to do but read the volumes of discourses one after another.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Rosalie. Let's have Marilyn read a little bit before we end. Oops. Looks like we have a little problem with the text. Oh, there it comes.
Yeah, Madam, you can read from here.
That first word. It says Cowis.
Taoists, yeah.
Cowises. First reading of the discourses convinced him that Meher Baba was the person who was worthy to be a true guru. He was destined to have Baba as his guide, and his first physical contact with Baba strengthened that feeling. About his first meeting in Surat, Kawas later related, Baba looked directly into my eyes as if to confirm that age-old connection of the past. The mass darshan program continued the next day. Friday, September 1947, and Baba also graced the nearby town of Rander with his presence. Some people began creating a disturbance during one of the programs, and Baba turned to a singer sitting by his side and gestured, "Sing a song that will gladden my heart." The singer chose an appropriate song with this line, which pleased Baba. "Those who do not bow to the sad guru and keep beating their own drums are worse than animals." For this rare darshan occasion, Baba's elderly maternal uncle and aunt, Rustam Mama and Pirojama Mami, had come from Bombay to attend the program. And there's a footnote. I don't see it.
I'll read the footnote. Rustam Mama, Shireen Mai's brother, was the uncle who used to manage a drama company and had arranged employment for young Mehran with the Alfred Theatrical Company in 1916. When Mehran had come to stay with Rustam Mama and his wife in Calcutta. Thank you. Could you just read a little louder? Thank you. Continue, please.
Calling them on stage, Baba made them sit by his side. Both loved Baba dearly and would come for his darshan from time to time. Dina Talati, her son Khurshid, and daughter Perviz had also joined the group from Bombay. Perviz sweetly sang Arti, and Baba smiled, showing his pleasure. Baba was happy with the whole darshan program and praised Manik Mehta, commenting, I'm very pleased with your efforts. The function has happened as I wished. Mona, you have to mute yourself. Thank you. I am very pleased with your efforts. The function has happened as I wished. I am satisfied and happy with your love. Baba departed the same day with Baidul, Erich, and Pendu for must work in Gujarat. The rest of the men Mandali returned to Meherabad and Pimple Gown. There's a nice picture. Surat, September 1947. Manak Mehta is holding the flowers. And there's Baba. And who else do we see that we know? Oh, I see Elizabeth wearing the hat. And Bob is left. And I forget. Well, anyway, all right then. Arriving in Baroda, Baba began contacting musts, among whom was the fifth plane must Chambu Shah, whom Baba was to contact again a month later. On Monday, 22nd September 1947, Baba left Baroda for Ahmedabad. The train compartment was extremely crowded, and Baidul had to sit on the floor by the door. When the train halted at Nadiad, Baidul moved in front of the exit. Suddenly, someone pushed the door open, but as the compartment was already overflowing, Baidul quickly closed it, pushing the man out. The man slipped and nearly fell, but was not injured. $25.93, that's the page it just said. Okay, 1947, and two policemen appeared and told Erich, "Come out at once. You are under arrest." Erich looked incredulous and asked what he had done. "You pushed the mayor out of the train?" "Who says I pushed him?" Erich demanded. "And why was the mayor trying to enter from an exit door?" "He should have come through the proper entrance. Let him prove I pushed him out." The mayor appeared and addressed the other passengers. "Brothers and sisters, you are all witnesses of what happened. This man threw me out. Judge for yourselves. Let there be no justice done. Let no barbarism triumph by giving your testimony." Erich spoke in his defense. "Fellow passengers, you know, you know that there has been rain and there is mud everywhere. Had the distinguished mayor really fallen, his clothing would have gotten dirty. Look for yourselves. His clothes are quite clean without a spot on them. You may come to your own conclusion." The mayor indignantly sat in another compartment, and the two policemen entered Baba's compartment, already holding 84 passengers, but designed for only 50. The train started as the policemen began collecting statements from everyone. It went on the whole night, and when the train arrived in Ahmedabad, Baba and the Mandali got down with the charge against Erich still unsubstantiated. After completing his must work in Ahmedabad, on the evening of the 23rd, Baba went to the station to catch a train for Mount Abu. Since there was plenty of time, Since there was plenty of time before the train was due to arrive, and Baba was completely exhausted, he wished to rest for a while. However, the platform was full of people, so he could not rest there. Baba climbed the railway bridge to see if he could find a quiet spot on which to lie down. He noticed a garden nearby, and when Erich went to check it out, he found that it was a public works storehouse. Erich asked the watchman for permission for them to rest in the shade for a while, but he said, "This is a restricted area. No one is allowed inside." Entreatingly, Erich told him, "We only want to lie underneath a tree before our train comes. I promise you, we will not be in your way. We are very tired and will leave after a few hours' rest." The watchman reluctantly agreed, and Erich gave him a generous tip.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we are past the hour. Maybe we should stop here.
I'll read a page, Pawan.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Baba and the men carried their luggage to the garden and spread themselves out in the cool shade under a tree. Baba washed his face and hands. The men, after taking off their clothes, went to sleep. Since it was very hot at the time, they all slept in their underpants. Soon after, the official storekeeper himself showed up and asked the watchman, "Who are those people and why did you allow them to camp inside? Who will be responsible if anything is stolen?" The watchman implored his pardon, but harshly reprimanding him. The official said, "Your service terminates as of tomorrow. You're fired." Baba was listening to all of this, and he woke Erich and said, "Go and find what the trouble is." Erich ran half naked to the guard, but the official had already left. The watchman told him everything, and Erich consoled him, saying, "Don't worry, we'll do something." Erich, still in his boxers, then went to see the official storekeeper in the dark bungalow and told him in English, "It's not the watchman's fault. We were wrong to seek shelter here. He at first refused us entrance, but we persuaded him to relent. I am the son of a boiler inspector, a high government position, and all my companions come from good families. We will leave the garden now, but please do not dismiss the watchman because of us. We were simply lying under a tree and never stepped foot in the store." The official said, "You may rest there as long as you like. I was just threatening the man to keep him on his toes so he won't permit anyone else to enter the premises. I won't sack him, don't worry." "Then kindly accompany me and assure him of that," Erich requested. "He is so afraid, and my elder brother won't be able to rest so long as the man keeps worrying." The storekeeper took Erich back in his car to the garden, pretending to reprimand the watchman. He said, "If this ever happens again, I will dismiss you from service, but today you're forgiven. Just remember not to let it happen again, otherwise, you'll really lose your job." Thus, everything returned to normal, but the Lord of the universe could not rest undisturbed even under the shade of a tree. Perhaps his fatigue was a pretext to contact the kindly watchman and his stern boss. We shall end here on page number 2594, and next week we will start from page number 2595. We can stop the recording now and we'll have a nice chat. Thank you, everyone. See you next Thursday, same time next week. Jai Baba.